Hello. And as you can probably tell, I'm in my office again today, but I am in a completely different space because I spent the weekend changing everything around. So you might be used to this background, but if I just spin round a little bit, do it slowly so I don't make you feel seasick. Right, I come up here. You can probably see that I've got some shelves in the background there, and my desk is about 6 foot away from the wall. And this is revolutionary for me because I have always had my desk rammed up against the wall. And when I moved into this house about 4 years ago, I was absolutely delighted when the space that I had chosen for my office had a sort of an alcove bit, and my desk fitted perfectly into the slot. So I was surrounded on almost three sides with wall. But if you remember in one of my other videos, I was talking about how I moved my orchids. And I'd only moved them. Oh, I've just got to put my arm down a bit because it's a bit. I'm just going to move a little bit. I'll move over here a bit so you've got a bit of the background. There we go. Yes, I was talking about the orchids and how I only moved them a few feet and it made a huge difference. Well, I would not have believed what a difference moving my desk 6 foot away from a wall would make. The first time I sat in my office seat with the desk in the new position, I mean, everything else was all around. It was complete chaos. All I'd been able to do was move the desk. I had to move all sorts of other furniture to be able to do that. And the first time I sat in my desk, it felt so different. It was kind of liberating. Yeah, it was completely liberating. And this apparently is because I was sitting in my power position, which according to Feng Shui means well, yeah, maybe I better go back a step. I've never actually really taken on board Feng Shui. I've always been pretty skeptical. And I've always had my desk against the wall, and it has always felt 100% right. I like that position because I could put things on the wall that I needed to look up and see. I could put my calendar up there. I could put notes about the work that I was doing. I'd have a nice picture there. And so I was just used to always being in that position. But now that I'm in my Feng Shui power position, where I can sit at my desk, and if I look to the left, which when you're looking at this video will be through the curtain on that side over there, I can look through into the rest of my house and I can get a tiny little glimpse of my garden. And then if I look in the other direction towards the window, without getting up from my seat, I can see the River Severn down the hill. It's marvellous. And it's put a whole new perspective on what I see, but also how I feel. And I've always known that our environments do have a lot to do with how we feel. And making changes to our environment and what we see around us will affect our well-being and our mindset. I've always known that, but I've never really connected it with Feng Shui. And I'm very lucky to have an expert in my contacts in my network. And I'm going to tag her in this video and hope that maybe I'm sure she will leave a comment to explain a little bit more about this, because it's fascinating. And after all, thousands of years and millions of Chinese can't really be wrong, can they? But I was surprised, very surprised, that moving my desk 6 foot could make such an enormous difference, and moving it away from the wall. And I'd started my office life, my corporate life, when I first started working, was in those, I don't know whether any of you remember, in those huge rooms which were all partitioned off, and then you had a desk shoved into the little sort of alcove. So everybody that came to see you came to you from behind. It was, I just got used to it. And I never questioned the fact that I always put my desk up against the wall. I never thought to look at it differently. And that's something else that I've learned from this experience, that some things that we are convinced we are 100% right about and are right for us may not necessarily always be right for us. Maybe it didn't matter sort of 20, 30 years ago when I was sitting in front of a wall. But now, having changed that position, it does. And it's almost like it's released my creativity. And the first session, Zoom session that I had from my desk at my new position was a co-working session with a group of ladies in Spain. And I actually worked on a new author community. I got the whole kind of layout, what I wanted to put into the community, and I even got a name for it. I mean, I'll probably tell you more about that in other videos, but it felt really creative. And if I think back over the years, I have been my most creative when I've been either near the sea or I've been in nature, and there have been no walls anywhere near me. So I can't help wondering whether pushing my desk up to the wall all the time did stifle my creativity a little bit. So I've learned quite a lot from this exercise. The fact is that now I have a wonderful office space that I really want to come and sit in, but it's also that it's another change, isn't it? It's actually looking at things that we think are permanent, sort of habits almost, because I guess it was a habit. I always put my desk up against the wall in all the different places that I lived. So it had become a kind of a habit. I hadn't questioned it. But now that I have a whole new perspective, and it's opened up all sorts of opportunities. So I think the lesson to learn from this is similar to the orchids when I moved those, is that if we question everything that we do, even if we don't kind of to start with realize that we need to question it, then it can change things enormously for us, and we can bloom in all sorts of directions. So that's kind of certainly my lesson that I've learned. And I hope that it will inspire you to maybe look more at the immediate environment around you. And hopefully Susanna will also help shed a bit of light on this amazing feeling that I now have, now that I'm not shoved up against a wall. So that's it for today, folks. Enjoy today, and I will see you later in the week.